When this regulation 1996 came up about the cell tissue and organ xenotransplantation, we were the first company that actually put in 4 license applications. You know, everybody in Europe telling Mike, you are crazy. Do you think that you are the first one that is trying this? It will never happen. At the beginning, it looked very nice because we were actually well treated and invited to the headquarters. You know, there was a big meeting, 28 people, officers of FDA, and 7 from our side. I brought in 2 Russian professors as well, and so on and so forth. And I even said after the meeting, listen, maybe I was mistaken about FDA. They are not as bad as I thought. So, you know, everything was nice and peaceful until we turned in the applications in February 1999. Suddenly, all of these 28 officers that we were cooperating with disappeared from the scene, and we were dealing with the reviewers, all PhDs, and all they knew is how to review new drug applications. But there is a drug of chemical origin here, and we are talking about live cells here. Why do you think that I had to write these license applications myself? We could not find in the whole United States anybody, FDA attorney, you name it, all of these companies that I work in this business, everybody was saying, oh, live cells, no, we know nothing about it, so, you know, we cannot help you. You have to, you know, you have to find somebody else. Somebody else, that was me. But I had to start from the scratch. I had to study the laws and so on and so forth to be able to do it. Because the key word in FDA books is, you shall not, the surest way to end up in jail is to misrepresent the facts in the IND application. Okay, so I was damn sure that every word there, you know, is absolutely unattackable. Okay, let's go to some of these points that I already mentioned before. Fact that embryonic stem cells are unusable for an actual patient treatment due to the oncogenicity that has been known in Europe since 1931. There was no discussion about it. You see, embryonic stem cells have this unique capability that they are pluripotential. They can turn into any kind of cell, you know, in the body. Any one of these 200 to 220 cell types. That is all true, and they will remain undifferentiated, until they receive the signal go. You know, in other words, you can kind of hold them on the leash, so to speak. Okay, but the problem is, you know, theoretically it is like that, but in real life, embryonic stem cells, you know, stay in this pluripotential conditions for a very short period of time. Only in laboratory you can keep them, you know, recycled, you know, to passage it from one generation to the next generation, etc., etc. But it is not the case in life. And when you talk about embryo, things go forward. Embryo in 60 days is no longer embryo. You cannot stop it, you know, the same way you can do it in laboratory. So all of these ideas about, you know, how the embryonic stem cells can be used, you know, for medical therapy, it's all, you know, chimera, you know, it's all, you know, creation of the mind, which absolutely has there is no relationship to reality. Okay? Now, they are able to proliferate. And they can be actually, the plan was, you see, that you take embryonic stem cells, you open up a factory, and you will be churning cells in huge quantities. And that way, pharma industry was going to make a ton of money on it. All right, now, the problem is that we know about the cell factor in the human body. It is cancer. Cancer, you know, is not accepting any commands of the body. It keeps on churning cells, right? You know, and what is the outcome? Death. You know, so how the pharma industry wanted to actually, you know, create a factory that will be churning, you know, embryonic cells to be used for treatment. I mean, it defies any logic, at least not in my brain, you know. Okay. Now, they claim that these embryonic stem cells at any point in time can be, you push the button and they turn into a podocytes, the main cell of the kidney, okay? All right? Fine. But do we know how to raise that button and how to push it? No, it's blah, blah, blah. You know, you can, sorry, I'm not exactly religious. You know, you can pray to God, you know, but that doesn't mean that your prayers are going to be, listened to, okay? We have the fetal precursor cells that have been from the moment that cell and therapy was born, because this is talking about fetal precursor cells of animal origin, all right, have been used successfully for 80 years. It almost seems that anytime you out of desperation would tackle a next field, and so on and so forth, it always works. That is truly, in my mind, sometimes a miraculous treatment. You see, because if you get so deeply involved in like me for so many years, you see, I always, I even told my wife the other day, look, I am starting to have a feeling that I am starting to have intuition. The patient comes in who has a disease that I have never heard of. I have to go to Wikipedia quickly to see what on the earth is this genetic disease, because there were only 10 cases described in last 30 years. So as you can imagine, and so then I quickly learn. I say, oh no, because in principle every genetic disease can be treated. So I tell the parents the following: look, it's a standard instruction. We have no experience, to treat the disease of your baby. Okay, but I can assure you one thing, based on the fact that, and this is a sentence which I already repeat, stem cell transplantation is safer than taking 80 milligram dose of baby aspirin, provided cells are prepared properly. That is the key word, you see. That if you know how to prepare those cells so they actually will do, and this is not a hocus pocus. You just do a very basic laboratory operation. But it all follows certain logic, okay? Based on this fact, I can tell you one thing. That if you treat your child, there are only two options. Option number one, an improvement. Option number two, no change. But option number three, that your child would get worse, is out of equation. It can never happen, and I will give you guarantee, put my hand into the fire, that no patient will ever get injured by cell transplantation, because that's how it is. Okay? I'm absolutely, but at the same time, you see, so now your situation is this. This is an extremely rare disease. We have no experience with this therapy or any other therapy, okay? Now, but at the same time, we cannot do animal experimentation to prove that we can actually treat disease like yours. So we are proposing you to do clinical trial of one. Your baby will become the clinical trial subject. We will treat your baby. And based on the fact that we guarantee you that there will be no harm, all right, then you have only two options. No improvement, in which case we will say we will not treat, because there is nothing we can accomplish, or there will be an improvement, in which case we will continue to treat at certain intervals as necessary. To me, this is extremely logical, and I have made this proposal to parents, thousands of times, okay, and so on and so forth. Some people go for it, some people don't, but at least they were properly informed. I don't scare them, I don't promise them, gold from the sky or something like that. But at least, I'm telling him, look, it's in your hands. The only way to prove or disprove it is to try it one time. So all it boils down to money for one treatment altogether. But once more, I truly go all out on a limb to give them all assurances that there will be no harm. Okay, that is how it is. You see, okay, and that applies to adult patients, with cancer or something like that sort. if you if you would be interested, and particularly some doctors would be, in our website, our company website, www.stem-cell-transplantation.com, we added a chapter about this cancer treatment.